Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday, the 22nd day of July, 2025. I hope you're safe and healthy today, and that your family's safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the area of health, every day trying to save lives with first responders, and those also that pick up garbage, keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women trying their best to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People that are also helping those that are victims of prostitution and child prostitution, pornography and child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators of these things. Double curses on the people who actually make profits from these things. And double curses on all the perverts that create the demand that cause these things to exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, and military veterans homeless in the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. In the continuing theme, which I stressed yesterday, is the main theme of the Knicks front office led by the Don Leon Rose, is value. The Knicks are always looking for value. Some of you quoted or commented on yesterday's video about how excited I was again about Dean Pate. But I think you misconstrued the point. The point is not how good Dean Pate is. He is good. He's going to be good. He's got a lot of upside. But people start, well, is he another Josh Hart? Is he another Spreewell? Is he no, he's another Dean Pate. And there is a player I think he's going to develop into. But I ain't going to talk about that right now because I want to let him be Dink Pate and develop as Dink Pate his own way. But the thing that gets me excited is the discount part. The getting him for the value is what gets me excited. Because the more value you could get as a team, as an organization, which means you're paying less for high-level talent, that means the longer you can keep that talent and the longer you can win, hopefully, multiple championships. One of the things that cause, and you're noticing it now, that's causing teams that won championships like the Celtics to break up is the tax bill that comes when you have to pay top dollar for top talent. So they paid a lot of money for Jrue Holiday. They paid a lot of money for Kristaps Porzingis. Of course, they paid a lot of money for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And eventually, and then of course, Derek White, they paid a lot of money for these guys. And so eventually, you're going to have to pay the piper, which is the tax man. Now, it worked out for them. They got the chip. That's why they did it. But then, of course, now they're breaking up their team. You've seen them trade. You saw they lost Tatum to season injury and next season ending injury. They traded Jrue Holiday. They traded Kristaps Porzingis, and they're paring down and having to try to. And this is the point where teams try to rebuild on the run. Now they're not trading at this point, obviously, Jason Tatum. And they're not, at least now, trading Jaylen Brown, although that might change. They got Brown, they got Wright coming back, and then they're trying to get somebody for either Al Horford himself or somebody to replace him. All of that is now what they have to do after they paid a lot of money to get top talent to win the chip. Okay, so that's where that is. But Oklahoma City, for example, have now put themselves on the clock. Now, they just won a championship with a whole bunch of heavy value, cheap paying talent. Okay, now they just now started extending all them cats, and they're going to have to pay the piper. But the goal is to win another one or more championships because they won the first one on the cheap. The only real expensive talent they had on that team was S.J. Gilgeous-Alexander, and he's just coming into his prime. Of course, he wins the MVP as he should have as the best player in the NBA this past season, but he just now, won that, and they now have to pay Jalen Williams, $200-something million, $280-something million up to. They got to pay Chet Holmgren, number 1 overall draft pick, $200-something million. They got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the extension, $200-something million. So they have to pay these guys now. And now they're under the clock because they're going to have to pay the tax man. No owner wants to pay the tax man. And why is that? I mean, it should be obvious, but why is that? Let's just explain why. Well, because as an owner of a corporate entity, they're going to have to pay corporate tax to the federal government. Okay? So they're going to have to pay corporate tax on the millions and millions and even billions in some cases they earn from owning that franchise to the federal government. So they don't want to have to pay again to the NBA. So they want to reduce taxes. That's the goal of any millionaire, billionaire, as much as possible. So in order to do that, first, you want to avoid paying taxes to the league, right? You're going to have to pay Uncle Sam. Death and taxes are certain, right? But you don't have to pay the NBA. So right now, they have been able to get away with, they had Lou Dort, $18 million, Alex Caruso, $18 million. Chet Holmgren was on a $14 million deal because he was the number 1 overall pick. Isaiah Joe, $12 million. Jay, they were getting over. J Dub, $6.5 million. One of their he's probably at least their second best player. $6.5 million they paid last year for him. See, so now, next year, $41 million for J Dub, $41 million for Chet Holmgren, $41 million for Alexander. And the year after that, $60 million for Alexander. You just got to pay Hartenstein $29 million. So now the tax bill is going to come. Okay, but they already won a championship. So they're going to parlay that. Had to pay the guys, but they won the chip when everybody was cheap. So you want to win the chip with as much value as you can. So we're looking at the New York Knicks, right? So now the New York Knicks, even though I just want to go over what they have drafted, right? What did they draft? Well, look, they drafted the Knicks. It started with Mitchell Robinson. Now, Mitchell Robinson was picked by Scott Perry and Steve Mills. Now, Scott Perry's now in Sacramento. Steve Mills is still with the Knicks. He's just not running basketball operations, but he's still with the Knicks. He's still an executive at Madison Square Garden. But they picked Mitchell Robinson with the 36th pick of the second round in 2018. Now, just for context, they picked Mitchell Robinson that year, right? DeAndre Ayton was the number 1 overall pick. Marvin Bagley was the 2nd pick. Mohamed Mo Bamba, was the 6th pick. Wendell Carter was the 7th pick. These are all 5s that were picked before Mitchell Robinson, and he's better than all of them. And he didn't cost nothing near any of them. Okay? That's what you call value. You get Mitchell Robinson, the 36th pick. You kept him for his 3 years at like $6 million. And then you paid him $60 million, well, $15 million a year. But really it was a declining thing. But anyway, which is a value. Top offensive rebounder in the NBA. One of the best rim protectors in the NBA. You got him 36. That's value. Then they messed around and got Deuce McBride, 36th pick of the second round. They got Ariel Hukporti, 55th pick or whatever, 58th pick of the second round. Then this year, well, no, we're not finished yet. They got McCullough, 50-something pick of the second round. And now he looks like an NBA player. How good he's going to be, some of y'all are predicting he's going to be, get the last contract. I don't think so, but you could do what you want. Yeah, but he's an NBA player. Eventually, he's going to get a contract. Eventually, he's going to be on the roster. It may not be this year, but he's going to be there. So you got him, second round. You got now, today we're talking about Mohamed Diawara. 55th pick of the second round. And you got an NBA player. 6 foot, some people have said 6'10", but, looking at several outlets, several places, he's more like 6'8", 6'9". He's in that. But still, 6'9", handle the rock, play defense on an NBA level, okay, and has some offensive game to him, and he's gonna get better. You know, you can't look at these guys always as what they are now. You got to look at them as what they're gonna be. And this kid can play. They got him 51, and then they traded, but they got him 51. I'm looking here. They got him listed as 6'8". So let's call him 6'8". He's 20 years old. He just turned 20 in April. Okay, 6'8", can guard five positions, 7-foot wingspan, can play defense, can run a break with the ball in his hand, will develop offensively. He will develop offensively. Can play NBA level defense. 51. And the rookie deal is going to be like Mitchell Robinson's and like Deuce McBride's, probably 4 years, $6 million. See, they overpaid for Tyler Kolek, giving him $6.5 million guaranteed in his first 3 years, and then have another option year that can bring that contract up to almost $10 million. They overpaid for him, as we could all see now, because right now, as I'm talking to you, after looking at the Summer League, it is my personal belief, looking at this talent level that the Knicks have, that Diawara, Beauchamp, Pate, McCullough Jr. are all more NBA ready than Kolek is. They're all more NBA ready. Kolek is NBA ready offensively, but if you can't play no defense, no bueno. Okay? You will not make it in the NBA court if you can't guard anybody. Now, and he can't. Kolek cannot. Tries his best, but he ain't there. And he's 24. McCullough Jr. has an opportunity to become that. He's not good defensively either, but I see more potential with him than with Kolek. So McCullough, Diawara, Pate, and of course Beauchamp, they're all more NBA ready. And they didn't pay what they paid for Kolek. They gave Kolek more money than any second round pick they ever gave. But here, you got value in Diawara. So you're going to give him, he's going to get the rookie. Right now, if you look at Spot Rack, and some of y'all still don't get it. I say it every day, but some of y'all still don't get it because you're not listening. Listening seems to be an art that is out of style. But anyway, the Knicks have a slot for a rookie contract, and they have one drafted rookie. That's Diawara. Okay, let me say it again because some of y'all still don't get it. The Knicks have a slot for the second round pick. That's part of what's in their cap, the rookie deal. So they're going to get that to the guy that is the legitimate rookie. That's Diawara. Okay? So they're going to give him that contract. Now, everybody else that's not a legitimate rookie can either be on a G League contract, which is really not on the roster, or a two-way contract, which is going to be think paid. But Diawara is going to get the rookie deal. And not only that, he's not going to get the rookie deal because he's going to sit at the end of the bench. He's going to play. I don't know if he's going to be the 11th guy, 12th guy, but the defense is going to put him on the basketball floor when they need him. Either somebody's hurt, somebody's in foul trouble. He's going to get to play. Okay? And Mike Brown practices. He has his teams practicing. Tibbs had this reputation for running guys in the ground. Maybe he did early in his career. He didn't do that, as we know, toward the end of his career here at New York. He didn't practice a lot. He went through mental things that they had to know, plays, schemes. Brown practices. So Diawara is going to get a chance to really develop with the varsity, put it that way. And so, again, the dawn strikes again, getting value in the 51st pick of the second round, an NBA level player that not only can play in the NBA, but has upside. And again, this is why, your 24-year-old guys, your McCulloughs, your Beauchamps, your Koleks, they are questionable because of their age. What do I mean? Look, 24. I wish I was 24. Shoot, I'm 64. But I'm old. They not old in terms of life, but in terms of NBA basketball upside, which is the name of the game when you're looking for value. You're looking for upside. Somebody that's going to be much better in the future than when you first get them. That's old. Okay, so sometimes it's hard. I like to use Chris Duarte, as the poster child of that. He come out of Oregon as a grown-ass man. Rookie year was really good. Hasn't really been that good since. I mean, he's been NBA level, and he's NBA level, but he ain't grown. He ain't developed into nothing. Why? Because his upside was maxed when they first got him. Okay, and that might be the case with these other kids. Now, in terms of, well, we'll talk about bowl champ another day, but in terms of McCullough and Kolick, they may be at their max right now. And that's the problem, okay? They may be at their upside potential right now. We don't know yet. Well, Kolick, I'm pretty sure he is. McCullough, I don't know yet because he hasn't had a chance to play at full tilt being injured. So we'll see. But with Diawara, who just turned 20, oh yeah, we got value. With Pate, 19, we got value. So Diawara is going to get better. And that's the scary part for the league. This kid picked in the 51st pick, 6'8", 200 pounds, 7-foot wingspan, can guard 4 or 5 positions, can handle the rock. The Knicks got one. Diawara, they got one. Okay? They got one. So he was drafted. That means something in the NBA because you get an automatic slot when you're drafted in one of the first 2 rounds. So he's going to get the rookie slot. And just because of his age, and I mean that, just because of his age, think Pate will get a two-way deal because you want to develop him. Again, you don't want to rush these kids. You want them to be developed. And when they do, we're talking about for both of them. Pate is probably good enough to really play in the rotation in a year because I think he's going to develop like that. I'm seeing something that can be developed into a rotation piece in a year, which is a lot for a kid that's going to be 20. But in 2 years from now, when he's 21, or 3 years when he's 22, and Diawara is 23, they're going to be hell to pay for these 2 kids. Okay? They're going to be hell to pay. So that's why I'm glad. Because right now, you're talking about, for example, Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns right now is 30. In 3 years, he'll be 33. Jalen Brunson's 29. In 3 years, he'll be 32. That's when you want a guy like a Dink Pate coming up, when he'll only be 22 years old and still have upside. Or a Diawara, who'll only be 23 years old. He could be the full tilt OG or Siakam by then, 23, and still have more upside. Damn, that's what we're talking about. See, that's what gets me excited. We get NBA level talent that can be further developed, that has upside, and we get it cheap as hell. That's what you want, okay? That's management right there. That's management. So Mitchell Robinson came under a previous regime, but the Don continued the culture in terms of seeking value. And he did it again. Okay, he did it again. So now, you're going to you got a team, you're paying Karl-Anthony Towns this season $53 million. You're paying OG Anunoby $40 million. You're paying Jalen Brunson $35 million. And this season, you're paying Mikal Bridges $25 million. Now, you're going to pay him more next year. But for this year, when they could win the chip, you don't. You're paying him $25 million. He's still in that contract. Josh Hart, $19 million. And Mitchell Robinson, no matter what they do, extend or not extend, this year, he's only costing you $13 million. See? And they're still going to pay, at the end of this, this season, they're still going to pay taxes, the Knicks, of $30 million. That's their luxury tax. And, it's a lot of freaking money. But if you win the chip, it's worth it. So now you're going to pay this luxury tax this year. You want to end up with a championship. That justifies paying the luxury tax. And you're going to keep these guys together another couple of seasons. Realistically, down the line, probably maybe 2 years. If they can win a couple championships, you're going to see some trades being done, and you're going to see these youngins. Mohamed Diawara, who's now 20. Dink Pate, who's 19. Diawara, who's 20. You're going to see these young kids starting to come up and step in the shoes of these guys that are now the established stars. And you got these kids cheap. Ariel Hooporti, who you're going to pay not $1.9 million this year. That's what you want. So you got your farm team coming along, fitting the timeline of the 3 or 4 year window. You got to win the chip with the guys that you're paying a lot of money to. Now, in 3 or 4 years, you got to pay these kids too. But by then, you already got some chips. And now you continue to look for value. And right now, the reason there's a lot of value in the second round, which again, we're talking about Deuce McBride, you're talking about Ariel Hooporti, McClure, again, Diawara. The reason there's a lot of value is because of the salary structure in the NBA, where you got to pay luxury taxes. If you get too many superstars, you got to pay big taxes. It causes the management of the money, of the cap, to be very important. And therefore, owners do not want to overspend, which is why we got Karl-Anthony Towns in the first place. The Minnesota owner wanted to reduce his tax bill. Smart. So he trades in $53 million for Julius Randle, $30 million. Saves $20 million. That's probably like $30 million in taxes he saved right there. So everybody wants to do that. So now that creates a situation where everybody's on the same playing field. And that's called parity. So there's a high level of parity. And a lot of the players that may not have been looked at before, because people could buy championships like the big three in Miami. They could buy chips. Can't do that no more. So now everybody has a chance. Second round guy that can shoot might get a shot. Right? A second round guy with a 7-foot wingspan that can guard 5 positions, he's going to get a shot. And he's going to be cheap. So there's a lot of parity in the league. So the Knicks can turn second round picks into Deuce McBride, Kevin McCullough Jr., Mohamed Diawara, Dink Pate. They could turn second round picks into that. And that's why the scouting of Walt Perrin is extremely important. See? The capologist is important, and your scouting becomes very important. It was always important before, but it's even more now because of the parity. So this past season, this past draft, you're looking at the guys that came out of the second round of this draft. You're talking about, again, you got our boy here, Diawara. You got, let me go back. Let me see. Second round. We talked a little bit about, like I was telling y'all about this kid out of St. Joseph's, man. Rasheer Fleming. You got him in the second round. You got Ryan Kalkbrenner, went to Charlotte. You got Adu Tero out of Calipari program, went 36. These are all value picks. Kobe Bray. You got a lot of people that that you could get in the second round. Tyrese Proctor, who's he went to Cleveland. You got a lot of value in the second round. Not all these guys are gonna make it, but look, you look at the first round. Like I said, you can look at the first 15 picks. I will guarantee you, there's at least 3 busts in there. There's at least 3 busts in the first 15 picks. So somebody's getting the privilege of paying some kid $40 million for him not to work out. The Knicks got a kid at 51 that's going to make less money in his whole first 3-4 years than some of these kids going to make in half a season. And they're going to get more out of him. That's what we're talking about. That's called value. That's Mohamed Diawara, baby. And he is going to be on the regular roster this season. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Y'all enjoy your Tuesday. Shalom.